Thank you to GameWork Create for being a channel partner. Looking for a Kickstarter game you missed or 3D printed minis? GameWork Create has a huge selection available, all at a fair price. Use the link in the description below to check out all that GameWork Create has to offer. What's up, Rockstars? Today I have the pleasure of talking to you guys about a deep dive first look into Harakiri Blades of Honor by Synergic Games. If you've been interested in this game at all since I've first kind of announced it, or if you are maybe just seeing this for the first time, this is probably the video to watch to get a good sense about how this game is going to play out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, as always, first and foremost, a huge thank you to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. It's because I take no money from any game developer so that I can give you my honest opinions and not my wallet's opinions. It also gives me the freedom to talk about any game I want in any way I want. So if I get excited about a game, I can do it and not have to pester them for money. Instead, I just do a video for you guys so you guys can all benefit from it, even if they can't pay me because I don't ever ask for it. If you can give to that and you feel called to do so, there is a link down below and I greatly appreciate it. You also get like an audio log update every single week, various polls, messages, stuff like that. There's even some play sessions coming up here soon for Chronicles of Drunagar. There's a lot of cool stuff in there if you so choose, and I greatly appreciate it. But if not though, that's fine. I totally get it. I understand. A thumbs up or just a comment on the video saying that this video was helpful helps me out a lot. It makes me realize that I'm doing videos that you appreciate and I can continue to do so. So thank you so much for that. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on this. Again, this is I'm calling it a deep dive because that's what I've done traditionally in the past, and I've done several of them before, but it's been a while. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen me do this, every now and then I like what I see in a game that's kind of far off. And so then slowly as they kind of give more information out, I can then tell you more about the game so that it's not just pretty pictures or miniatures or something like that. There are companies that actually advertise a game without just showing you pretty renders. And so I like to celebrate that a little bit and focus on the actual game because at the end of the day, I play board games. I like minis, but I play board games. And so I'm very interested in the actual gameplay. There's going to be some mini talk towards the end of this, but the vast majority of this video is going to be about the mechanics. So let's get right to it. First of all, I want to talk about the cover level because I haven't talked about this enough. First, this is a freaking sweet cover. Like this is instantly like, you go into a game store, right? And you see all these games. This is the one I'm walking towards instantly. I'm like, what the heck is that? So props on that. I need to see this guy though. Don't tell me this is just art. There's a mini here. I know there is. Stop hiding it from me, Synergic Games. I want to see it. Looks sweet. This whole thing is like, I want to be that guy fighting that. Yes, please. Let's find out how you do that though, huh? Now, first of all, setting. This is kind of like a dungeon crawlish style game. You got your skills and you're rolling dice and you're fighting monsters and all that stuff. However, it's much bigger focus on more open areas. So while it's a dungeon crawl style, it's not really a dungeon or a crawl. And you have a lot more area. As you can see here, there's a big focus on, there's some indoor spots and some tight places, but for the most part, and there's going to be some actual like fully indoor areas and they'll reveal those in time. But right now they really want to kind of hone in on the fact that you're going to have these kind of beautiful Japanese landscapes to kind of go over and navigate. And so as you can see, these tiles are very big and there's a lot of area you can go towards. So you can fight in kind of with the rice place area or inside the building or whatever. Maybe you're investigating something. And I think that's super great. Additionally, one thing I wanted to note here is that all of the points of interest are going to be built onto the map. They're not here now, so you're not going to see any right now. But entrances to buildings or places you're going to have to interact with are actually going to be on the tile. They're really big on trying to get setup time to be very nice, which again, as somebody who plays board games, I appreciate. So anything that you need to interact with or know about is going to be right there on the map for you. This will lead to probably more map tiles than some other games, but it means that once you get the map tile, you set it on there and you're good to go. I'll talk more about more map tiles in a bit here. But suffice it to say, again, very focused on Japanese, like just how beautiful that land is and how cool the monsters are and all that kind of stuff. And there's kami and there's all sorts of stuff. We'll talk about that. But as you can see, nice big open areas that you can, you're trekking through this beautiful garden as opposed to, some, third basement level of generic dungeon number 3. You're not doing that. That being said, they're also focused on day-night cycles. And so you're not just going to be fighting in the day, like 24/7. Like, how you get these where it's like, if you're outside, it's sunlight. Or always at night in the dungeon and it's dark. Instead, you'll actually have these various areas, but sometimes it'll be day, sometimes it'll be night. Again, that probably means more tiles, but that's also because their points of interest might change too. They have a lot of variety they can do through that. So maybe you're interacting with this big statue here, and maybe another one you're trying to find which one is that. It's up to them to design it. I'm not saying that's exactly what it's going to be, but either way, you get these nice big areas multiple times of day. Everything kind of printed on the board for you so you know where everything is and what you need to do, and you can just set that tile down and you can start playing on it. That sounds cool to me, and I like the visual variety. Tiles are something I focus on a lot in reviews. You've seen me do it before where I talk about the scale of your mini compared to the skill sufferer, because sometimes you're like, I could never fit in that car. The car is the size of like my lake, right? So you feel like you're giants on a playground. I've always been a big proponent for focusing on the actual tile art or the blanket that you put all these minis and cards around, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm staring at this for a while and I want it to be pretty. And my opinion, this looks beautiful. So really excited about this, especially the focus on big open areas like that. I dig it. I like it a lot. That seems cool. Let's talk about some actual gameplay. Let's talk about how we're going to be playing this game. Let's talk about the hero board. Okay, so the hero board has your health down here, your health track, and each class or each character will have kind of a different setting on this, which is pretty typical. We're all pretty used to that. You're also going to have your skills over to the right. Again, that's also fairly common. There's like these kind of shuriken attack symbols here. This symbol right here is a range symbol. That just means, in other words, this is says if the attack deals damage, distribute 4 extra damage among other enemies in range of 2, right? And so you can do a Kami's punishment, right? And there you have the multi-form where you spawn another Harakiri illusion adjacent to you that has 3 action points and shares your stats. It cannot use skills and cannot receive damage, but you activate it after your turn and remove it at the end of your round. So you just duplicate and then you can actually do actions with them and stuff like that. You have Kami's Blessing where you add 1 to all of your blue die in your reserve area. So you can actually up the die. As you can see, by the way, there's a stylized die here. So it looks like we're going to get stylized die. Nothing, by the way, is final. They have not delivered a product until it's at your door. That's the final version. This is just kind of their renders and prototypes and them working kind of through it. So just FYI on that. There's a menacing shadow. You can perform a range 3 attack. If it causes 3+ damage, you can tap the target's initiative card for this round. That sounds great. I freaking love tapping cards. As a Magic player, I love tapping cards. Let's tap all the cards. No, but that's cool. I dig that. Then he can also do a heal where he removes all negative effects from an adjacent ally and himself. And both also heal based on the amount of activated die. And as you can see, there's 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5, and 6, so kind of scales. Additionally, you'll notice there's these traits like impassive or mystical. So sometimes you'll gain a trait based off of your skills, and that just has other gameplay stuff. We're not going to dive into the trait system quite yet. Maybe in a future video. Let me know, by the way, if you do want to see another future video with some more gameplay details. I can focus on more. I'm trying to make this one kind of quick though. We'll see. This is your armor slot. You'll have armor. I'm just going to quickly pull over here. You can see some of the armors and items that you'll get. You'll get some story-based items. You'll get some other, weapons and stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of items you can get. There'll be cards and stuff like that. But your armor will kind of go here. And you'll actually have an armor value that's based on that. And that can go up or down depending on different things. You'll see that in the enemy card, which I'll show soon. You also have a Kami ranking kind of here where it shows kind of how close you are to the Kami. And to give you an idea of Kami, you may have seen Izanami in some other games or some other art or whatever. Well, this is theirs. I would suggest staying on her good side. She is not a happy camper. She's not glad about her circumstances. and looks like she's ready to take that out on some people. So might want to be on her good side. Now, how the comic it takes place in the game, again, maybe we'll show later. Right now, just showing you Izanami. That's all you're gonna get. All right, let's see. Where was I? I'm right here. Okay. And then finally down here, you do have your stats. This is your power, and that's just added straight to your attacks. So this is a +1, a +2, +3. All right, next is the dexterity, and this is added to your movement. So this is kind of movement-based stuff. Next is your knowledge. This helps you actually use better equipment and stuff like that. And then this is your spirit, and that helps with your ki dice or kai dice, or I'm not sure exactly how the pronunciation there is. I apologize. But anyway, your kind of mystical dice that you do here. I believe it's these dice here, but don't sue me if that's wrong. If it is wrong, I'll let you know in the future one. But either way, this kind of helps with your dice. This kind of helps with your equipment. This kind of helps with your movement. This kind of helps with your attack. And you can decide kind of where you're at on those to fit your playstyle as you wish. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and go to a bad guy. This is what we love bad guys, right? Now, this is an example of an Ishigaru, but again, the lowliest minion will have this, and the biggest boss will have this too. Actually, the boss might have something else. We'll tease the boss later. But for now, let's just look at kind of the basic stuff because we're really interested in the AI of things here, right? They have their kind of the basic stats here. Here's their health, their movement, their range, their defense, and their armor, right? Again, remember, armor can kind of vary depending on what, different attacks, which you'll see here soon. So he can do a cannon shot. This is an attack. It's a range 3, and it adds a +1 to your dice. You can see here's his base dice, a green and 2 white. I'm assuming they look kind of ivory. I dig that. That's fine. Either way, 1 green, 2 white, or if he's doing a cannon shot, it's 1 green, 3 white. If the attack deals 2+ damage, then the target removes 1 armor. So again, he can just shoot you with his cannon, and then, there goes 1 point of your armor. There's a katana attack, which is just no range at all. So, melee range, where it adds 1. I'm assuming this is damage, but I'm not positive on that. And then, of course, there is a regroup action where he can move towards the closest Ashigaru. In other words, they can kind of go together. That describes actions he can take, but what actions will he take? One of the interesting things I like about this is there's actually a little bit of variance here. You kind of know what they're going to do, but there's a little bit of variance. So they have their regular one, right, which is this right here, where they actually get +1 to their armor, and they'll perform a katana against an adjacent enemy, and then they'll regroup. So here's their katana, here's their regroup, and then they could also do a movement to 3 range of an enemy and perform a cannon shot, or maybe they regroup and recover some damage, or maybe they move towards an enemy. Now, there's also an aggressive stance they can also do, and the aggressive stances, you'll see a 1 through 4 and a 5 through 6. So depending on a roll, you'll roll a behavior die, you'll see if they're this version or this version. Now, this version has a -1 to their armor, and they perform a katana against an adjacent enemy, and if the attack deals 2+ damage, the target gains, I'm assuming like a knockdown or something like that. Again, I don't have a full list of all the symbols here, so trying my best. But you can get a sense of what's going on here. Or they might move to range of 3 of an enemy and perform a cannon shot, which is actually the same as this, so that's not too bad. Or regroup and recover 2. That's an additional recovery there. And then they can also move towards an enemy as well as kind of their group of actions that they'll do. Or they can do a 5 through 6, which again, they get 1 less armor. So when they're aggressive, they're less defensive, but definitely more aggressive. This actually adds a black die. I'm assuming that's bad. Where they can perform a katana against all adjacent enemies, reducing 2 damage or 2 whatever. Move to 3 and do a cannon shot, regroup and recover 3, and then move towards an enemy. So it's the same structure, but how they go about doing it is a bit different. And then they might be doing, like an AoE attack on a 5 through 6, or they might just do knock somebody down, or they might just do a regular attack. So there's a little bit of variance in there, while still always being a Ishigaru. One of the things I liked about seeing this is that I can see an Ishigaru and kind of know what he's going to do, but not quite exactly. And that's what I appreciate. I don't want every enemy to be able to do everything, right? I want the Ishigaru to kind of act a certain way, and the Kappas to act a certain way, and the Oni to act a certain way, but really, really liked that personally. That's just, my opinion here, but I think that looks cool. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some minis very briefly, and we'll close things out. I didn't really do a deep dive on these minis, so in my deep dive, I'm going to do it a little bit. A few things that I tend to notice. So one of the things that's interesting here I found is how the chains are wrapped over each other. Luckily, this looks to be a bigger miniature. And if it's a bigger miniature, that's great. If it's a smaller one, then I would have a little bit of concern over the chains overlapping on that. That's a very hard mold to do. There's not really an ideal pull direction on that, so not quite sure how that's going to end up. You'll see it's wrapped here as well. We'll just have to take a look and see, but the bigger the better, obviously, because the easier it is to get that detail, and there won't the tooling of the steel mold will be a little bit nicer and stuff. Otherwise, all the cracks look deep, and all that's good. The other ones I think are a little bit more interesting here. So one of the cool things I liked about this is the bottom of his little dress thing here. I know it has a Japanese name. I'm not saying it. It's a dress thing. When you have the bottom of a miniature, often it's flat. But if you are able to lift it up just a bit, you see how there's a little bit of a lip there? If you're able to do that, then it looks a lot better as a whole, especially when it's flowed up like this. In other words, if that was flat down, you'll see a lot of minis do that. Not ideal. I very much appreciate that right there. The hard part I do see about this is right here where he's grabbing his sword, and there's that negative space right there in the hand. Now, again, depending on under the thumb as well and all that, you can get some fancy with some pull directions. You can get some pull direction is how the mini goes in there and then pulls out, right? Because the negative space matters based off that. Or multiple pieces, obviously, as well. But I'll be interested to see how well that turns out. But you'll see the lip inside of there as well. Either way, great sculpting to do that. Very good, and I appreciate that. Moving on to this one thing I just noticed from him is that it's not two blades. It's actually his like scabbard that he's pulled out too. So I guess he's got a detachable scabbard, but either way, he just pulled it out, right? And so he kind of still has the scabbard in his hand. Thought that was cool. It is flat on there, but that's fine. I don't care about that. You paint it black, it's all okay. But just thought that was pretty cool. And of course, the big guy himself. First of all, if you hadn't seen my tease of him, here he is now. You can see he is big and he is bad. Also, again, I think he's smartly sculpted. I commented before about the veins that are just kind of on like the tops and mostly on the side. There's like a weird face thing coming here. I showed the art. I'm not going to show the art here. But this is like part of that going on there. But I really liked that there was no negative space here in the wrap. A lot of times they'll do the wrap in the digital version, but then, they're going to fill that in. And so having it kind of crisscross there makes them close that gap. Very smart. I thought that was a very good idea to do that, so you don't have a gap in between that. It's nice and sturdy, easy to do in plastic, and well done. That's it, guys. That's all I had. So now you kind of know a little bit how the overall structure works. It's going to be on open areas. There's going to be points of interest. There's going to be kind of light and dark versions of some maps or some areas. That how kind of your kami ranking works and your skills work, the AI works on enemies. I hope you appreciated this little dive into it. Let me know if Harakiri Blades of Honor is something that interests you. Seriously, want to know down below. I can do more coverage, but I'll only do it if you guys find it useful, of course. So I'm interested in it though. I'm really interested. I think it looks great. I love the Japanese style. I love the traditional Japanese, but like mystical. That's fantastic. I'm all about that. Minis look great design wise. I like the scale of them. They look good there. Like in the art. I'm liking it a lot. Let me know what you guys like, and I'll try and answer any questions I can, or I'll at least feed the questions to them and see if they can't tease us some more about maybe some of that information. So with that out of the way, thanks so much for watching. I really greatly appreciate it. Again, if you appreciated this video, leave a like on your way out, or at least a comment letting me know that this video was helpful. And I will talk to you guys again very, very soon with a lot more coverage, including something from the 80s. I'll leave it at that. All right, take care, guys.